So budget your time that in this 2-hour period or 1-hour window, I'm going to read this document. I recommend to my students that between prelims and mains, they must incorporate a second newspaper. Current affairs, there is no doubt about it how important it is. Mains 365, please incorporate it in your strategy. I think it's a very important document. You should not ignore this thing. We have been publishing this document since many years and we have received excellent response from students. And since last few years, we have incorporated these topics at a glance. I think these things add a lot of value to your answers.
Hello everyone, welcome to another enlightening session on UPSC Mains 365 preparation strategies. Joining us today is our esteemed faculty member of Economy, Aditya sir. In this session, we will discuss on how Mains 365 can be useful in our overall preparation strategy. Welcome Aditya sir.
Thank you.
Sir, before we jump on to the actual discussion, could you briefly highlight how current affairs are important for overall Mains 365 preparation for the economy portion?
Hello everyone. I've said this earlier also in our sessions. Current affairs as an integral part of our GS preparation. Be it prelims, be it mains, we are talking specifically about mains. There is huge importance that current affairs would play. And it's not just about paper 3 economic section in all sections. You look at paper 2, paper 3, most of the questions are a mix of current affairs and some basic concepts. So current affairs is extremely important. I would suggest our students, our viewers to please go through previous year questions and judge for themselves how important current affairs is.
Sir, now that we have a brief idea and you have highlighted the importance of the current affairs as well, could you illustrate the trend of the economy section? How many questions are there? What kind of questions are asked, etc.?
I'll answer both questions here. One as in economy questions and current affairs through some examples here. We'll build upon it in the course of our discussion. So one, when you look at paper 3, there are usually around 9 to 10 questions. In last year, there were 8 questions, but normally the trend is 9 to 10 questions in paper 3 economics. At the same time, when you look at paper 1, there are questions from society which are regarding poverty, inequality, that is also covered in our economy section. There are questions in paper 2, for example, regarding working of government schemes, regarding international institutions. That is also economy, current affairs, world aspects, current affairs. So yes, if you look at only paper 3, the trend is around 8 to 10 questions since last 7-8 years. When you look at current affairs, all those questions will have a current affair element, all those questions. There is no question that you will find which has only static element.
Sir, in this context, how would you say that how important is a document like Mains 365 economy?
So our students, we recommend to them that they should certainly read newspapers, and I recommend to my students that between prelims and mains, they must incorporate a second newspaper. Current affairs, there is no doubt about it how important it is. Mains 365. So when we prepare this document, one, we are referring to multiple sources, many newspapers, magazines. So therefore we tend to ensure that nothing is missed out. So one, it's a comprehensive document. Second, it's not merely about news. It is about concepts, application of those concepts. See, for example, when we study these things in class, static portion, we are bound by the chapter we are covering. News is not bound by those chapters. News will have all things together. There will be a news on, for example, budget. What impact will budget have? Government policy, fiscal policy, on inflation, on unemployment, on India's exports. So there are multiple things in the same document, in the same news item. So document like Mains 65, it helps us to make our preparation comprehensive. Rather than being limited to chapters, now we are able to link it with various things together. That is the key importance of Mains 65.
Sir, what I've understood is that the Mains 365 document collects all the information together, analyzes all the dimensions which you may or may not have seen yourself.
Yes.
And puts it all together in one document.
Yes. Yes.
That is how it becomes important.
Yes.
Sir, can you illustrate this whole idea with 1 or 2 examples?
Certainly, I'll take examples of some questions that have been asked, and from that our students will be able to better understand the importance of such documents. Take, for example, a question asked a few years back. Do you think that steady inflation, low inflation and steady GDP growth has put Indian economy on the right track. A question asked few years back. One, you need current affairs knowledge of what has been the trend of inflation, what has been the trend of GDP. You need basic knowledge of what makes an economy a good economy, as in a stable economy, on the right track economy. For example, you judge it by looking at exports, you judge it by looking at unemployment, you judge it by looking at investments in the economy. So your current affairs will have, your main 65 will have all these things at the same place. So you'll have a news item regarding India's savings rate rises or India's investment rate rises. And in that document, we would have explained all these things, that how are savings important, investments important, how do they affect our exports. So you look at this document like this, question collectively on multiple things at the same time. One more example. Agriculture question, 3 questions out of 9 are agriculture questions. One more example. For example, the question was, discuss the role of MSP in elevating rural poverty, increasing farmer incomes and improving food security. And the question doesn't end here. There are 3 parts here and there are more parts to this. It's a 15-marker question. Further, the question asks, do you think MSP affects the cropping pattern negatively? What changes do you suggest in MSP? So it's a very big question. You need a static knowledge of what MSP is, but don't you need current knowledge of what is rural poverty in the country? What is food production in the country? Availability of food per capita. So we'll have these things. There would be, let's say, agriculture survey in a particular year. We'll incorporate these things, this data in our main 65 so that our students can write better answers, more relevant answers. Your answer has to be substantiated with facts. This is where main 65 provides precise information. Second, you must have comprehensive knowledge. This is where main 65 provides you that background of all these things at the same place. So this makes this a unique document, a very important document.
Okay, sir. So what I've understood is that you get a static backgrounder, you get facts and data to enrich your answers.
Yes.
And as we discussed earlier, you have a very clear analysis of all the major dimensions that connect to the economy part.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, now that we have understood the utility, how do you suggest that students should utilize this document? What is the best strategy?
Best strategy to incorporate it in their preparation. Now, this is specifically for those who are writing mains this year, but this goes for those who are preparing for years ahead also. The right way to incorporate, specifically for those who are writing this year, is you read the document. Don't focus on remembering it, just read it. Because if you start to remember things there will be so many facts, you will get bored, you will not be able to read it, memorize it. You will end up reading maybe just one main 65, only economics, and forget about polity, society. So you have to read it. When you read it, one, you understand it while reading it. At the same time, you try to see that there are some trends in the document which are mentioned. There is a mental picture that forms when you are reading it. Trust yourself, you shall be able to reproduce that in the exam. So my number one suggestion is to focus on reading it more number of times rather than reading it slowly, repeatedly again and again, 1 line, 2 line, 1 paragraph, so that you're thinking that you're going to remember it. Just read it once, read it second time. That's a quick way to do multiple revisions. I think that is a way to incorporate. Number one. Second, specifically speaking, what should you do? For example, you can divide your time. Let's say 1 hour each day. It will take around 10 hours to study one document. So you have, let's say 10 days, 1 hour each day, or 2 hours each day, 5 days for a document. So budget your time that in this 2 hour period or 1 hour window, I'm going to read this document. And that should be it. Don't think of it as that there is one more burden that I have to read. Think of it that your entire economy or polity or governance entire is being revised through this document. So your entire syllabus is getting revised. So think of it like this. One, you will have more energy, more willingness to look at it, revise it quickly, and obviously the benefits. We have discussed them earlier.
So, sir, we should treat the Mains 365 document as a revision tool rather than one more booklet which you have to cover.
Exactly.
Okay. Sir, you told that one should not focus on remembering the document. So, apart from multiple reading, what other revision strategy can be adopted?
See, when I said one should not focus on remembering, what I meant to say was, what I should clarify this, what I mean to say is that if you read the same paragraph again and again, you are going to spend lot of time, waste lot of time in reading it. Focus on finishing it. Have an objective that I have to finish it in, let's say, 5 days, 2 hours each. And then reread it again, then reread it again. So revise this as many times as you can. Second, one more strategy, as in one additional thing that one can do. As in, you have, let's say, read it once. Second time, we also have topics at glance. एक topics at glance का एक section है हमारे, हर एक topic से पहले हमारा वो topic at glance है. And in that, we have beautifully explained some important stats, some challenges, some government policies, some way forward. That is a very quick way to read about that topic. It's a snapshot of the topic. So if you don't have time, let's say just before exam, let's say 5 days, 10 days before exam, rather than going through the entire document, just go through those topics at glance. That is also there in our material. So incorporate these things in your strategy so that you get the best out of this.
So, sir, as you described topic at a glances, so one can go, if one has to go through the particular topics, specifically if he or she doesn't have time, then they can switch on to topic at a glances and leave the rest of the document for as and when they get time on that basis. And if one is thorough with the topic, they can jump on to the current affairs topics.
Yes.
So through this way, they can optimize.
Yeah, but again, I would clarify that do not read only topics at a glance. That is the last minute preparation, a quick revision, a snapshot. First, you have to go through the entire document, and then for subsequent revisions, you can go only through topics at glance.
Sir, this was a very enriching discussion. Any final word of advice for our students?
Advice, I have given them a lot earlier. One more thing I would like to say regarding current affairs, this especially Main 65. Please incorporate it in your strategy. I think it's a very important document. You should not ignore this thing. We have been publishing this document since many years, and we have received excellent response from students. And since last few years, we have incorporated these topics at a glance. I think these things add a lot of value to your answers. You look at paper 3 questions, you please understand that you have to write very specific answers, substantiate with some facts. Doing that, you will get those extra 1 or 2 marks in every question. So Mains 365 is that extra edge you get. So please do incorporate it.
Thank you, sir. Students, I hope this session was very enriching for you as well. Keep learning, stay curious. Best of luck.